Congratulations on finishing your course. That was some hard work. Now what do I do with it? Is there anyone that will house my course and help me sell it? What if I can get an entire team to help me sell my course that I worked so hard on? Have I got a discovery for you? The Great Discovery not only has a place for your course, but a network of affiliates that are eager to sell your hard-earned course creation. Want to make a little more money so you can build your course or invest in yourself? Opportunities for all this and more await you at The Great Discovery, or go to tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information. Once again, that's tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information about how to join The Great Discovery now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production. Hello, Scoob Believers, and welcome to episode number 91 of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and it's me, Scoob. Coming at you at whatever device you happen to be listening on. All right, so before we get into today's episode, my next episode that's going to be coming out is going to be my talk that I had on stage. So make sure you subscribe for that so you don't miss out on that. If you'd like to see it now, go over to my YouTube channel, and I did it live on YouTube, so you could watch it now. All right, so that being said, today's entrepreneur is none other than my really good friend Coil. Coil is the owner and host of Visit Vegas Places with Coil, a podcast highlighting entrepreneurs in Las Vegas. He has featured over 145 business owners across 7 seasons of production. Starting with Google Maps reviews, Coil expanded into podcasting to share his stories behind local Vegas businesses, aiming to promote both the famous Strip and local growing businesses seen to tourists and residents alike. And beyond podcasting, Coil has built a multifaceted content creation business, including video production, affiliate marketing, and brand partnerships, with plans to create jobs for aspiring content creators. So with all that awesome stuff happening, let's listen to my good friend Coil. Are you ready to unlock your entrepreneur potential? Are you ready to break free from all the barriers holding you back? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, your first step in getting across the start line. I'm your host and guide, Scoop, and I'm here with one mission: to help you overcome the obstacles standing between you and the start of your adventure. Whether you're dreaming of launching a startup, creating the next big app, or turning your passion into a thriving business, this podcast is your launch pad. Together we'll navigate the challenges, overcome hidden boundaries that stop us from starting, and learn how to overcome them with the help of others and experience them right along with you. So are you ready to take that crucial step to transform from aspiring to inspiring? Then let's get across that start line together, right here, right now, on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Salutations, Scuba Believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur, but we have somebody really special for you today. We have my good friend Coil from Visit Vegas Places. Hey, Coil, how's it going?
Oh, man, it's a pleasure, DJ Scoop. Thank you for having me on here. It's been a long time. We've connected.
Yeah, Coil's actually one of my original Scuba Believers, ladies and gentlemen. He was one of the first people that I came across when I started podcasting. And we hit it off right away. I was on his podcast talking about Branson and some of the areas and some of the food out here and some of the great things. I still go back and listen to that every once in a while.
That's history right there, man. We both were actually just getting our feet wet.
Yeah, we both started pretty close to the same time. I think I started just before you did.
You did.
All right. Before we go any further, and I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you a Scuba Believer?
Oh, yes. 10 toes down. Scuba Believer all the way.
10 toes. I have to remember that one. 10 toes down. I like it. That's awesome. Thanks for continuing to be a Scuba Believer, Coil. I appreciate you.
No problem, man.
So I was on your podcast, but this is the first time you've been on my podcast. So let's give the Scuba Believers out there a little bit of history about who you are and what you do and how you got across the start line in your business.
Yes, my pleasure. So my name is Coil Harrison. I am the owner and host of Visit Vegas Places with Coil, where we highlight and create content for entrepreneurs here in Las Vegas. Not only in Las Vegas, I try to touch also around the world with Vegas Ventures Off. And season 7 starts actually in November 2024. And I have 145 business owners I've interviewed through all my seasons. I started August 2021. So yet it's going on 3 years, little past that 3-year mark podcasting. We've actually started before the pandemic, where we was creating content for Google Maps, where you can look us up on Google, visit Vegas places. We have over 45 million views now. But we were basically just going to restaurants and casinos, taking still pictures. I was actually creating content with still pictures, not moving videos. Reels and all that wasn't really popular then. But we would sit down and have these conversations with these business owners, and I'll get the story, their timeline and their pros and cons. And it's, man, I'm getting this story, but I'm only doing reviews on Google Maps, 200 characters with pictures. How can I get this story across to the entire world? And hence came the podcast. So did research. I found a couple of podcast hosts. Buzzsprout was the one I went with. And then Buzzsprout is my host, and Riverside is what I record on. So shouts out. I mentioned that because give shouts out to Riverside and Buzzsprout. I'm still with them from day one. Don't plan on leaving. They made this process so easy. I don't think I would be able to stay here and do this without Buzzsprout and Riverside.
That's awesome. I also still use Buzzsprout. I've been using Buzzsprout since I started too, so I'm double shot outing Buzzsprout for that's for sure.
Yes.
So it's amazing that you went from one medium and it's like, how do I get this story out? How do I get more meat, basically, since we're talking about restaurants, more meat into the process and get more information from these owners, from these businesses? What was it, something that you did that it's okay, you went out and talked to business owners, but what did you do before that? What was the catalyst that actually got that going? Did something happen to you? Is there a story behind that?
Actually, the story was I always been doing reviews from like day one. I always love commercials. I love reviews because I love to look at reviews before I go places. So with Google Maps, which started, I was like, you know what, it's easier. I can share my experience with others. But again, keep in mind, we were just going with the intention to take pictures and write a review and have a good time and share that information on. But of course, it got popular doing it because we was like almost the only ones doing it in a pandemic. So it got to the point where we'll go to these spots taking pictures, and then they'll call the owner. And to the point to where even before I walk in and I order, they're already calling the owner. My wife will tell me they're calling the owner. And I'm like, man, I want it to be natural. And just by me being a gregarious person, a good people's person, I would talk to these owners and I'll get these stories from them. And it was just, I never knew the side of owning a business with all it takes, the sweat and tears it goes into, the amount of sacrifices you have to take. Sometimes you got to let household things go, and then to take care of the business, things don't always go right for you. So that story was like heartbreaking, to where I had to be able to get this word out to also let them know the story behind the business owners, but also influence that audience that, hey, this is in your local area. Keep in mind, I've been here in Vegas for going on 21 years. And most of the things that's promoted in Vegas is basically on the Strip, which is understandable. That is our bread and butter, the Las Vegas Strip, the casinos, the resorts, everything that has to do with that, the restaurants and all. But again, there's a local life also here, and it's getting bigger. It's growing by the years. And I wanted to shed some light on the local life, the local aspect, to say, hey, tourists, when you're here, you can also go off the Strip and come have a great time and great experience, great food outside the Strip in this beautiful city in the Valley. And also, I want to make locals aware, hey, you have a restaurant right around the corner from you that needs your business, and you will love their food.
Yeah, I've noticed that here to where I'm at in Branson, Missouri, we have our own version of quote unquote the Strip, but it's the stuff that's kind of off the beaten trail, which really has a different kind of feel to it, has a different quality to it. Most people don't even see that unless somebody tells them about it, word of mouth or whatever. So you perform a fantastic service for Vegas.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You should talk to the big guys out there. See if anyway. Okay, so so you talk to a lot of businesses, obviously, because that's kind of what you do. And when we talk about businesses and we talk about what stops us from starting our business, I go through the four hurdles of stop, the things that stop us from getting across the start line: imposter syndrome, perfectionism, failure, and fear. So, in those four kind of corners, what have you come across more often than not when you talk to a lot of these owners?
A lot of the owners, as far as what I come across, is they definitely had the guts, the heart to start this business. But just starting a business is a different ball game, especially here in Vegas. And not even knowing if you will even survive within the next 3 months, which you last in this first quarter to be able to not profit. But I know some that are just even breaking even, which is good in some cases scenarios. I'd rather break even than not profit and lose everything I started. But I can see that with this, it's hard for them to even market also. So what I'm noticing as marketing and having awareness is more geared to social media. A lot of business owners have to take the place of a content creator also now. So not only are you just a business owner, probably hoping to get word of mouth out. There's no newspaper ads. There's none of that. Now it's really content creators. So either A, you have to have a relationship with content creators that'll either come by and do their thing. Hopefully they have enough reach to get people in their doors, or you really have to take the torch yourself and create content inside, which is really what social media is geared to. And a lot of them go through that imposter syndrome. And I'm like, why aren't you creating content or having ideas with this? And they're like, I don't want to come across as a this or that. No, you're already in business. There's nothing else. There's no imposter about this. You sell burgers, create content about you selling burgers, and that's your niche. But I think it's more of the fear factor of them thinking like, do I have to get this camera? What equipment do I need? What lighting do I need? Who would I do the voiceover? Not only that, also the consistency of it. Because you think about it, running a business is more than just creating content. And you think about it, you have to maintain your staff, you have to maintain the books, you have to maintain your inventory, whatever take of business field that you're in. And there's fires that have to be put out constantly. There's calls to be made. There's emails to be checked. That is when they think of creating content, that takes hours. And they already know I don't have time for that. I can pay somebody to do that or hire somebody to do that. So I see that now a lot with business owners as they're like deers in headlights. What do I do about this content and how can I get my name on social media?
Yeah, a lot of business owners now have to wear so many hats, especially when you're just getting started. You and I both know that we started both of our podcasts from square one, where we were everything. We were the content creator, we were the marketer, we were everything. And it's not so much different with a lot of these new business owners, restaurants, and everything else, where they had to be the person that counts the money. They had to be the person that busses the tables. They start from zero.
Right.
So when they come across something new, something different, they know that has to be part of their marketing scheme, but they've never done it before. I could see how they could feel a little bit frightened, a little bit of fear, a little bit of imposter syndrome. I have no idea what I'm doing. How is this going to come across? So
Right.
I could see how that could be such a thing to overcome.
Yeah. And then the filming of it is real easy, but when it comes to the editing, voiceover and all that, that's a whole different beast on its own.
It was for me, that's for sure.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
but it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the adventure that we take when we decide to become entrepreneurs and do what we do. And enjoying that trip, enjoying that adventure,
Right.
is just fantastic because we learn so much. We run into people that we've never would have run into before,
True.
and we learn
True.
from them.
Definitely learn from them. And like it is a 360 because a lot of things that I learned from the business owners I talk to, of course, I learn every day because I get to see different avenues and different fields of businesses. But my main thing is not only just to focus on that business owner to make sure the city is aware of them, or even my audience podcast, or even to reach to where I can reach in other countries that they're aware of them because we're in Vegas. So this is America's playground. So not only do I just focus on making sure they have reach within the Las Vegas Valley, I want to make sure they have reach to my big audience in New York, my big audience in Alabama or Florida, which they look towards seeing my content or seeing who I interview. So when they have their itinerary set to come in and have spend their vacation in Vegas, they already know where to go.
Yeah, and that's where really becomes a big plus for you because it's kind of like it's a niche in itself to be able to, oh yeah, I'm going to go here. I wonder what Coil has to say about this place if he's even interviewed the owner yet. And if you have, they're going to want to listen to everything you have to say about them or everything that you've learned about that particular business so they know what kind of place it
Right.
is.
And also, that's the fine line that I do have because I don't want to be setting the tone of kind of like I can say a Keith Lee. We have a Keith Lee out here. I'm not a food critic more. I'm a food reviewer. So I review the food. Of course, I'm going to critique it, but I don't want to be known as where if Coil liked it, then it's got to be good. No, you might not like what I like. I might not like what you like. I want you to be aware of this place. I want you to know their story and come check it out for yourself. Don't base it off what I've said about it. Base it off the story that I'm presenting you from this business owner.
There you go. That's the way to do it. So you told me that most of these business owners, from what they're experiencing, that thing is more times than not is imposter syndrome. When you were getting started, were you experiencing pretty much the same thing? We touched on it a little bit, but what were kind of your experiences when you were first getting started?
Definitely, definitely. When I started, you keep in mind now, when I started, I was typing reviews out and with still pictures. So when it came to me inventing the podcast, and actually moving towards after the pandemic when reels started to really be popular, I was actually creating content at these places that I visit, and I would just do voiceovers. I never ate in front of the camera. You rarely see me doing that, eating food in front of the camera. You mostly see me picturing either the food or the business owner. I spent before that though, let's go before that though, before I even get into the story before that. So let's check this out. In March 2021, I started my Buzzsprout account. I was ready. March 2021, I started. I'm like, you know what? We got this. I got my business owners lined up. I was scared and had the syndrome all the way to August. I didn't drop my first episode to August. So from March to August, I was scared. It took my wife to tell me, like, hey, you already got everything. What else you need to think about? Just do it. So during that time period, I was always thinking of excuses. No, I don't really have this straight, or I don't know if people are going to take it right, or how can I have my format? Am I going to be video, audio? Do I need this kind of equipment? And I wasted all that time not knowing all I needed to do is start. That was the only way I could figure out the answers to all those questions. You cannot figure out those answers until you actually dig in and start, because you will end up spending years all day thinking that you can figure it out without actually diving in and starting. So on top of that, once I did start, I only did voiceover. So I was mixing the reviews in with the podcast until I integrated together. What? Let me just create content on the interview session that I have with the business owner and do a real live go create content. Where still I didn't show my face. Now I went through a little phase also of not showing my face because I'm thinking I'm representing Las Vegas. I don't know how they would take African American man doing this. I went through that, which was another excuse in my head. Well, I'm black. They might not really respect or understand me doing this, which that no one even thought about that. That was just in my head. No one even thinks about that. So all those little things that if you're going through that, get it out your head. No one's thinking about that. No one's thinking about when you think about, should I create this content? No one's going to think about, oh, you have sleep in your eyes, or your wall is a different color in the background, or you this or that. Some of the people that create some of the best content that went viral, you'd be surprised what was in their background and what was you could see. And I noticed that because I'm a creator myself. And it inspires me like, man, they took that idea and they thought and they ran with it without trying to make everything perfect for their audience.
Yeah, you remember, I don't know if you remember, excuse me, when I started, all I had was like a blank wall and two paper pictures of my logo behind me, just taped up on my wall. I've moved on from that since. I actually still have those things, but we just need to do something just to get started and stop giving ourselves excuses not to start. I actually call excuses the minions of fear.
I like
Right?
that.
Because I picture the little minion yellow guys, right? Running around yelling, fear, 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 fear. All of these
Right.
guys are excuses not to get across the start line. So
True.
that when I think about that, that's kind of where I go with that. But you're right. It's all in your head. It's all things that you tell yourself why not to do it. When all we really need to do is
Just do it.
jump off the cliff and build the airplane on the way down.
Just do it, man. Like you mentioned, I remember too used to have those the little paper of the tie and all that, but I never looked at you like, why does he have? I just because I was focused on what you was presenting to us. I never thought about that.
I'm glad you did, because it's if anybody judged me on my background at that point, I was through. But it's more about what you have to say than what you have to show.
Correct. Correct.
People are going to judge you for whatever it is. I mean, who knows? Maybe somebody didn't like dogs, whatever.
Right.
But if you're worried about that, you're not going to get anywhere.
Nah, not at all. I mean, because that's another story. Because you're going to get trolled. Once you put yourself out there, you got to understand you putting yourself out there to a couple of hundred people. That's good. But if you're trying to reach the masses where there's millions of people, you're definitely going to run to thousands of people that's not going to agree with you or doesn't even like what you're doing. And they're going to voice it. They have no shame of voicing it to you.
So have you come across anything like that in your time?
Definitely. Yes.
So how do you handle that for yourself? Because I know that I have too, but I'm curious how you handle something like that.
I answer it professionally. Yeah, I learned that from corporate America. The customer is always right. So I always look at that. It's psychologically, I look at that. If I have a post and I get one of those comments that are trying to demean or mock my content, I will answer with proper language. Like one time, the one I could always stick to my head is I remember somebody when I first set up my website, which I did on my own through my Google business, and this guy got on and told me my website was garbage. It looks like fake or whatnot. And I said, you know what, you're right, because I did it myself and I had no clue what I was doing and I couldn't afford one. If you would like to build one for me, I would love to see what you have. And that was it. It just went quiet. So at the end of the day, they're probably right. Because at the end of the day, I think of it like this too. There's content I look at and I think the same thing about some other people. I just don't type it out. I don't have that time to type it out, but I thought of it. So I respect people who thought of it and then typed it out. So I look at that as a comment because you're not always going to get, oh, that's good job. Congratulations. It's always going to be people that like, oh, that's garbage. What are you talking about? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So then in the case scenario, they might be right, from their point of view. And my favorite slot is I say, everyone's entitled to an opinion and your voice matters here. That's my copy and paste. So when I get one of those trolls that I know that are purposely trying to make me feel a type of way, I just let them know that everyone's entitled to an opinion, to each his own, and your voice matters here and we hear you. We're not going to take heed to it or waste time entertaining it, but we hear you.
Yeah, that's a good way to handle that too. A lot of times when I come across something like that, where it's something like ultra negative like that, I have to think to myself, this person that's doing that, what's causing him to do that? There has to be some kind of outside influence that's, whether they're just having a bad day, whether they're going through a breakup, who knows? Something's going on that's making them so negative, they have to take it out on somebody else. So the first thing that goes through my mind is, I wonder what's happening in their life right now that's making them have to lash out like this. There's other types of negativity too. Now, there's negativity we could use as positive, constructive criticism, where they say, hey, this looks kind of weird, but maybe if you changed it like this, that's one thing.
Correct. Yeah, that's a total different thing. And also too, that's why I say I keep it professional, because a lot of people we could take their text out of context. Like they really meant really from a positive standpoint to tell you like, hey, if you would do this or that, but instead they're typing like, that's not good. So it's on how we take it when they're probably correct. Like the guy with my website, he's thinking what I'm thinking. My website's garbage, and I know that. So why would I defend the fact that I'm thinking the same thing that he's thinking when I tell him you're right? And on his end, he's probably, man, this guy is crazy. But
but I could see it happening to somebody that suffers immensely from imposter syndrome, and that how their mind kind of would work off of that.
Because everyone's not built like that. That could like just destroy people. I've been seeing people get destroyed off of being trolled. We see it all the time with celebrities. They getting trolled all the time. Right now, there's probably a handful we can name that we can open up our platforms and see who's getting trolled on or getting memed on. But that's just part of the game. But I can tell you one thing, working with these platforms for the last going on 5 years, a guy even who started with MySpace, the platforms are not going to let you reach millions of audience if you don't know how to interact with trolls or negative comments. When you handle that professionally, the platform sees everything. They're not going to put you in front of millions of people if you don't know how to conduct yourself when you get negative feedback.
That's just it. When you do answer back a troll or anybody like that, that troll is going to be the only person that actually sees how you answer. It's everybody that follows you that looks at that comment
Right.
and
Right.
sees how you professionally you handled that comment that made people say, that Coil guy, he's a real stand-up guy. He really took it to heart and handled it very well. That's a guy that I want to be with. That's a guy that I want to follow.
Correct. Because at the same time, too, you don't know if the troll can be a testing from that platform trying to get you to that level also. And you just felt the test by entertaining the negativity action that's probably true. It just hits you in the wrong spot. It hurts when it hit home. It does. But again, your reaction is way more held accountable than the action that was taken first. So also just be careful how you react. Sometimes you gotta take your time. There's been plenty of times when I first started, I would start typing something and I had to really think about it and hit that back. Nah, I don't need to. Let me take a moment to comment back on this. And then after I take that moment, it's not even worth me commenting back.
It's always good if you're going to send something like that to take a step back before hitting that send button, reread it to yourself, take a breath and say, what can be the consequence of me sending this the way it is?
Correct. Or even just, it does the answer represent your business? Just think about the audience is looking at you as a business, not just a regular person or a content creator. So I have to take that in mind also, because I don't have personal accounts. My only personal account is Facebook, because that's my true friends who I grew up with, family, and everything. Anything else personal, I converted over to my business to make sure I knew where that line was drawn.
Right, that's a good way to do it too, to keep it separated. Way, if you have a family member that's reaching out in one of your business socials, there's something wrong there. That's not normal.
Correct.
That's a good way to do that. I never thought of that. I might have to make some changes. All right. So I would like to know, and you've named one or two, but do you have an accomplishment that you are really super proud of that you always like to think about when you're kind of having hard times, but you think back to this amazing accomplishment and it makes you feel a little bit better? Do you have anything like that?
The fact that this last season 6, I just went video. I was only audio for the longest, and I just went video thanks to Riverside, whose supreme platform that makes it possible for you to do video, audio, everything, and create reels right there on the spot. Hey, if you're trying to get into podcasts, which I do recommend, whether if you're a creator, a business, anybody, you just have stories to tell, start with Riverside, riverside.com. Business owners, I've introduced numerous of business owners to Riverside. Everyone that I've introduced to Riverside, they come back with great feedback. Me, myself, and I have been with them from day one, and I love them. So I do give myself a pat on the back for going video, which not only helps my business owners I interview, so now I can be able to create good content and let the audience see who they are and also see who I am.
Fantastic. And you know what we'll do, Coils? We'll put a link in the show notes for Riverside. And maybe we could, if anybody did want to start something like that, maybe they could just go right down to the show notes there and see what that's about.
Yes, that would be great.
All
I
right.
do have one, a link that I would love to send you, which I will get commission if they do it. And also they will get a percentage, a discount on using that.
Oh, all right. So that's cool. So if you click on the link down there in the show notes with Riverside, that'll be Coil's affiliate link.
Mhm.
And no extra cost to you. And actually, you'll get a little bit of savings, it sounds like, at the same time. So that's amazing. Thanks. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So if you have a new entrepreneur, let's say like somebody is talking about maybe opening a business there in Vegas or something like that that's come across there, what kind of advice would you give them? What steps would you have them take? What's the first thing you would say to them?
What I've learned from the business owners, it depends on what business you are in, but make sure you understand the laws, get your licensing straight, and make sure you are legit. Get your business license, set up your LLC if that's your route. Whatever you do, before you start making a profit, make sure you have everything squared away with the government.
Yeah, because that could really bite you in the butt in the end if you don't have all your T's crossed and your lowercase
Man,
j's dotted.
especially out here in Las Vegas, because granted, you could make money. I've seen it done before. A lot of business come out here and make that quick money. But the money you make, you're gonna wish you did everything legal to sustain and keep here for years before they come for you. Because of course, you don't want to have a good 3 months when you can have a good lifetime by making sure everything is legit. So my main thing is just make sure you're legit. And also, I've seen a lot of business owners that come from either the East Coast or down south open up. And when they're ending up having to shut down, the main thing I hear them saying is, I didn't know you had to network out here in Vegas. I thought I would just open my doors and the crowd was going to come in. This is a networking city. It's built off networking. My advice is get with either the Vegas Chamber or the Urban Chamber of Commerce. They have Women's Chamber of Commerce. There's a Latino Chamber of Commerce, any chamber of commerce that suits you, even wedding chamber of commerce. I think we have a commerce chamber of commerce for each field that you work in. And that is a good place to start, to at least start networking with other business owners that are in the same position you are, or either well experienced that can give you great advice or resources to get you going.
That's some fantastic advice. Yeah, any kind of chamber of commerce you can get is just an awesome network place to be. That way you get your name out there and you could shake some hands and learn. It's a
Right.
fantastic learning place too for well, what do you do for your business? How did you do this? They're going to be more than happy to answer pretty much every
Right.
question that you have. Don't be afraid to ask these questions of these people. You're not competition to them. They're people that want to help you.
Correct. That is correct. And also provide referrals if needed.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, Coil. This I love asking this of all my guests, so I'm going to ask you too. What do you see yourself in the next 6 months for you and your company? What kind of goals do you have for yourself in the next 6 months, do you think?
So for the next 6 months, I would like to I would like to hire. In the next 6 months, I would like to create jobs for all ages, the people who are willing to learn how to create content. Not only that, also how to learn how to monetize with affiliates and brand partners. Because not only that's another thing that I've built, like a whole different department, which I didn't expect to build by doing this, is brand partnerships, which we create for Amazon and also TikTok Shop. So within 6 months, I would love to hire and bring on board people to help out because I do need help going forward to get to that next plateau.
All right, so what I'd like to do with you, Coil, hopefully we can do this and not wait another 3 years before we talk to each other again. I'd like to
Right.
follow up with you in 6 months and see if we've actually accomplished those goals. Would that be okay?
I love it. Love it.
All right, awesome. All right, Coyle, this is your time to shine, my friend. How do we get a hold of you? How do we get a hold of whatever it is you're doing and all that good stuff? Okay, ready, set, go.
So make sure you guys tune into the podcast, Visit Vegas Places with Coil. We stream on all podcast platforms, whether you like to listen to on Apple, Good Pods, Amazon Music, iHeart, we are there. You can look us up on all social media platforms, Visit Vegas Places. That is Visit Vegas Places. We're also on Google Maps. Check us out on Google Maps, but any platform you can check us out on. But if you check us out on TikTok, you got to know the TikTok is straight shops, affiliate marketing. That is the only place that you will see like behind the scenes and what I do with my family. And also we have an Amazon storefront. So if you, a lot of you guys are Amazon shoppers, check it out. And what I provide is basically fashion. I also show a lot of creator items that I work with myself, which are cheap. So you can know that you don't have to break the bank to get started. It's easy. Just get a couple of things. It's just how you utilize it. But you can reach us on all platforms. And also, last but not least, the website at visitvegasplaces.com. And that's visitvegasplaces.com, where you can just check out the podcast from there. And also, you can subscribe to the podcast.
All right, fantastic. Thanks, Coyle. Thank you very much. All right. Whew, my brain's all over the place here, but it's getting a little late, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Coyle. It's been amazing, and I really look forward to talking to you again.
Likewise, my pleasure, man. I can't wait till you come out here. I know we was talking about me coming to Branson, which I plan on doing soon, but you definitely got to come out to Vegas because I know you'll love it.
Oh, I know I will too. That's a given.
Yeah, and when you come out here, we're going to create some content together, take you to one of these food places.
Oh, now I am excited. That'd be amazing. All right. Until then, all right, school believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my good friend Coil. What a great guy. And we've actually had our podcast start almost exactly at the same time. We've been following each other and giving each other advice. It's been fantastic to have him. There's a couple of things that I really took away from this episode. And Coil overcame his fears and imposter syndrome by simply starting his podcast, proving that taking action is the key to figuring out answers and achieving your goals. By responding professionally to criticisms and negative comments, Coil not only maintained his integrity, but also gained the respect of his audience and social media platforms, demonstrating the power of a positive attitude in the face of adversity. We got to keep these things in mind as we're going along, because things are going to happen, whether it be trolls that come up and try to stifle us in our growth, whether it be overcoming imposter syndrome or the fears that we have. These are all things that's going to happen to us that we need to expect when starting an entrepreneurial adventure. So keep an eye out for these things as we go along, and you will succeed. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much for another fantastic episode of Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and make sure you subscribe to get the next episode, which is going to be my stage talk and a detailed explanation of the 4 hurdles of stop. Thank you, everybody. Bye. And there you have it, future entrepreneurs. We've taken another step towards our journey to get across that start line. Remember, every great business starts with a single idea and the courage to pursue it. You've already shown that courage by joining us here today. As we wrap up this episode of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, I want to remind you that the start line isn't as far away as you might think. With each bit of knowledge you gain, each fear you face, you're getting closer to launching your dream. Until our next episode together, keep pushing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep taking those steps across the start line. They'll all add up to big strides in your entrepreneur adventure. This is Scoob, your guide across the start line. Remember, your future is waiting. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Do you find yourself faltering when speaking in public? You definitely know what you're talking about, but you just can't seem to get over the horrific fear, and imagining people in their underwear is just not working. Whether you're gearing up for a big presentation or just looking to improve your daily communications, Leslie Fiorenzo is your go-to resource for mastering self-promotion, facing your audience fearlessly, and communicating with authority. Don't miss out on your opportunity to elevate your game. Contact Leslie Fiorenzo now, or go to doingittodaycoaching.net/speak to step into the spotlight with confidence. Your adventure in public speaking mastery starts here and now. Don't wait to get your voice heard. Book your free consultation at doingittodaycoaching.net/speak to start your adventure in speaking excellence today.